Yo. Hello, hello. Shoker, you got first, by the way. How are you doing? Poodlestein, hello. Nacho. Ace, how you doing? Godbody. Peace. First time chat as well. Hello. Assassin, dude, good to see you, man. Been a bit. David, hello. Whoa. It's bright here. Or something. What's going on here? What is this? Weird. It's like crazy bright. I'm like, what is this? What's happening? Hmm. Okay. I think we're good. Because of Move and Jabo? It's like Notepad Bright. It is like Notepad Bright. How are you guys doing? Just waiting for a little bit here so that people kind of push their posts into the critiques channel. There's a decent amount of stuff in here. Did Shokri, did you post twice? What's going on here? Oh, I see what's happening. Separate posts. I see. I see. Okay. Or maybe I'm just going crazy. Am I going crazy? I think I am going crazy. No, we're good. We're good. Shokri, you posted once. I was seeing the older stuff. Yo, how you doing? Is it Paco? Rico, how you doing? I'm curious as well. Is it Rico? If you're new here, Exile, what's up, man? Is it time to get slightly destroyed? Maybe. I mean, I did have a gin and tonic, so if you're new here, there's the link to the Discord. So you like that visual? You can join in and get your stuff critiqued. We have a channel called Stream Critiques, and we'll kind of work our way through there. Hey Delaney, what's up, man? How you doing? Okay, let me just click on some of these posts and get them set up, and we'll get started. Shoker, you posted so many angles. Oh man, Exile posting some rocks too. Dude, I just shaved, Nated. I just shaved, man. Okay, probably turn that off. You look forward to some good advice. If you guys are not, I would suggest also posting the critiques channel between these critique streams, just because there's some good. You get some good feedback if you post in there. Where are we at here? I need to just start some of my own beats here. Just so I got some sounds going. Okay. Let's Big Mac. Nice. Why is that here? Weird. Okay. There we go. We good. You ready to go? Let's do this. Okay, so first up's Marvin, actually. Irene, hello. Good day, Pixel. Is it Pixel Byte? All right, so for anyone who's new here, exclamation mark Discord. You can join our little community, get your feedback on, and just look for the stream dash critiques channel, and you can post your stuff in there, and we'll try and get to you within the 2 hours that we have. It's a decent amount of posts now, so I think we might be okay. Delaney, what is up, man? All right, so first up we've got Marvin. Not fully done, but it was interesting to see what you were going to say about it. So, if you're sculpting a tree, I mean, maybe this is from like a Snakehook pass. Make sure it's port only. Can't be human pictures. What? Nice. So looking at this tree, I'm just going to copy this and we're going to bring it over into Photoshop so I can see. I can feedback on this a little better. So I'm assuming that this was done with Snakehook. If not, maybe it was sculpted separately. Sorry, I'm unlocking emojis. I have 10k points. Dude, do it, man. Let's go. So some of the stuff I want to highlight with this is, there we go. Just making sure I have a brush that actually does what we need it to do. It's like a weird pressure thing going on here. I guess that's okay. Yeah, Delaney, that's a good one. So whenever you're sculpting a tree or building on these types of things, keep in mind the thickness between each of these points. This is like a trick that someone very early on in games taught me. So what you want to do is, like, let's say this is your main trunk, and that's like 1.0 in diameter. We'll start with a unit of 1. Every time a space breaks off, you want to like half it, which kind of looks like you're maybe halving it. So this one is 1.0. This one would be like 0.5, right? And then this one would be like 0.25. If that makes sense. And wherever they split off, right? So if this one's splitting off from this trunk, or this branch, I should say, this primary branch, this piece here arguably should still be close to the same diameter as this, and it's when you get break-offs is when it changes size. The other thing to think about too is how healthy is this tree? How old is it? Is there older branches and newer branches? Thinking about where those are all at and thinking about the composition of a tree itself is going to be pretty important when it comes to that type of when it comes to this type of work, because you can see as you go further up, it continues to stay quite thick, and also everything is kind of pointing this way, which could be the visual direction of a tree. So if that were the case, then you'd want all your other branches, like even if it's coming out this way, to kind of follow a very similar character. Otherwise, I would say when you're sculpting something like this, I don't know if you've got the context of the ground already, but having the ground and all of the propping around where the tree is, let's say there's some rocks or maybe the terrain is not, maybe the terrain's more this way. That'll help you figure out where those roots need to go. So just to keep that in mind. But yeah. I don't have too much to add on this other than keep it up. It's more about maintaining the understanding and context of what you're sculpting it to, whether it be terrain or cliffs or whatnot, and also what type of tree it is. Because every type of tree, like the species of tree, are going to differ and have different attributes to the way they grow and how they shape themselves in their environments, you know? So there's a lot of research that goes into understanding foliage and trees particularly. But yeah, it's cool. Trees are fun to sculpt, man. They're just a little difficult sometimes. Sandy, hello. Thank you for the resub. 21 months. It's freaking crazy. But yeah, let's jump on to the next one. So we got Shokri. As Adele would say, hello, it's me. Hello. Hello. With Poodlestein's help and critiques, I decided to push myself to make a diorama similar to Scott Homer stuff. Dude, Scott Homer, that guy's amazing. I remember when he was extremely active. Now I think he's doing a lot of car stuff outside in his free time. You know, you got to find ways to relax. And he's always been huge in the cars. So, but yeah, Scott Homer did some pretty sick dioramas. I'd like to add some more broken pavement and asphalt bits and roots. Is this headed in the right direction? What should I add or change? I would appreciate every good criticism, even if it sounds harsh. Okay. I know I need to blend snow better with pavement and asphalt. So if you're gonna go the route that Scott went with his dioramas, it was very much that you embraced the fact that it was a diorama. Nice, Assassin, nice. I want to find that scene. So I need to find it in my hard drive somewhere. So when it comes to like making these types of dioramas, and especially if you're thinking the way Scott Homer's were set up, is you embrace the fact that it's a diorama. So if let's maybe just grab like let me find an angle that feels like the right. Maybe this one's the right one. Copy this image. Yeah, so if we're thinking Scott Homer level, you just find a brush that kind of does what I want it to do. Can I turn this off? There we go. Nice. Okay, so you're already starting to embrace the diorama, your inner diorama. Getting these pieces to break off. Right now, you're working with a large piece, and I would say small pieces, right? I would go a step further and really find a medium piece to break, and think about it in gradients of like large, medium, small, and then micro if you want to add some micro elements to your diorama. Let me see if I can undo all this and just make a new layer. But yeah, so kind of taking that route, I think the approach you're going with the pipes is really cool. Don't be afraid to like take this edge and just go crazy with it. And by crazy with it, I mean like really like clump it up, and the same like very similar approach where you can where you take this edge and then maybe you switch to like let's just do some crazy shapes and whatnot. Like let's say that you've got that going on and bits and pieces just coming off. Maybe there's a root that's connecting these pieces, right? And that helps like give a bit of logic as to like how some of the pieces are hanging on. If it's cold as well, maybe there's going to be some snow down there. Just even frosty bits. So really kind of embracing and taking in all that little extra detail. You want to go further than just the shapes that you have right here currently. So if you do like really kind of breaking it up, maybe even a clump that's connected to the pipe, and then it goes further back, and then you're getting snow up here. Like think about all the stuff that's going to kind of detail on top of there. Adam, how you doing? Good to see you. pleasure. Again, you're breaking this up into parts, and that's cool. It's just really like kind of going away from just these fractures and starting to like lift the pieces up and kind of throw them around a little bit. The snow, like you're saying, sure, you can work on the transitions here at some point, but I think these are like the smaller details that you don't really need to focus on right now, and it's more about like what's happening with these added details that you've put in here. You've got your curve that needs a texture, of course. Um, it would be interesting to kind of like, you could play with tilting this or keeping it level. Um, Maybe having one of these open and that's where all the papers are coming from, you know? So, let's see if I can just screenshot this thing here. We'll just bring it over. So like this, for example, if one of these were open and all the papers are flying out, that could explain where all of the pieces of paper are coming from. What else we got going on here? So what I'm liking right now is you've got snow buildup on the top. You've got like a cool road transition and some pieces there. All of this detail is quite nice. But it's like in this area, what I'm really liking is the silhouette. And in these areas, like this side, this side, like when I say side, I mean like this, are still quite straight or simple, right? Look at what is being done in Scott's scenes, to try and push. Actually, maybe I should just hang on here. Give me a second. See if I can pull up one of his dioramas. Because he's also explaining a lot of like how stuff is inner workings, like how everything's kind of put together. So if we paste this over here, so if you look, um, there's the thickness on the ceiling. There's the pieces that are inside of the wall, behind the wall. All of the like, if there's tile, like maybe there's slats of wood under it first. Everything is. It looks like gravity is in this scene. So everything is just kind of falling, you know? It's all kind of like this was almost ripped out of the scene and then pulled up. And then you've got all these particles and effects and stuff. I think those look like they're added in post. Don't hesitate to do that if you want to add any of those types of details. But it's about understanding how things are made. Like having one of these tiles floating off far enough away that you can show like what's under this. Even if it's like what looked like dirt that was flattened by a tile and then a worm had made its pathway through the soil. You know, you get all this like squiggly stuff. I think that type of detail is really cool. But yeah, making sure that your scene has action in it is a good thing, I think. The other thing I would probably mention is with the paper, like that's a great way of adding action to the scene. Um, One of the other things I would say is the spacing between these is very similar, and the length of them is very similar. I would get some variety in that. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's other. Just looking at the composition of it. So the amount of space here and the amount of space here. Taking these tiles, if you were to bring the tiles up and out, and you know bringing that type of direction this way, then you can bring nice. You can bring the papers out this way and debris out this way, and then you're then building your composition either like splitting like this or thinking about it more like a volume. Like how much space am I taking up? And compositionally, how is it balanced within the scene? Like the space here and the space here with this type of shape is very similar. It's the same with like this spot here and this spot here could be similar. It's about building that composition of like the chaos, but in an orderly way, if you want to say it like that. Yes, and I agree. What's being said about the stickers being really pristine. You got to get some damage on there. Maybe even if it's just like you get the a texture of like sheetboard or like cardboard, you know, that kind of looks like when you peel a sticker away and you get the residue, like it's still half there. You get that texture under this one, and in Photoshop you just paint them away. You'll get this like the ability to paint where you want it to look peeled and where you want it to stayed, for example. But yeah, I mean, I think that's really could even have trash bags with a tear in it. You could. I think it would probably be more beneficial to have a little bit more trash, maybe around this area. That could be an opportunity to have stuff floating around. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is this roughness up here. The roughness of the snow right now is very, very tight. It looks like it's maybe like a 0.4 or 0.5. It probably needs to be wider than that. That's what a raccoon would say. Nice. So watch out for like how tight you're making these highlights. Steam from a coffee cup. That would be pretty cool if the cup is like, I don't know, like right now it's against something. If you want stuff to be like flying away, like have the cup out here and the lid like popped off and like the liquid starting to come out. That could look cool. But yeah, right now you've got essentially the base details in. You're starting to add the smaller stuff, and I'm just highlighting some of these types of things that you should sort out before you go on to the medium shapes, and then the smaller shapes would come from there. Right now these roots are very, very thin or small. I would go with like pushing those maybe about twice as thick, just so that not only so that they're noticeable, but that you can, it'll affect the composition and help you see the overall image a little better, I think, than just having these like little hairs of roots. But yeah, I mean, the scene's sick, man. I would like to see you finish it up, because like I know that you keep adding and trying to figure out how to make it interesting. So it's been a long project for you. Cool. Okay, I think we're gonna hit the next one now. The last thing I would say about that scene we were just looking at, Shokri, is that I wouldn't transform it anymore. As far as like the direction that it's going in, this direction is good. The direction before it was also good. It's just really it's a matter of like being happy with it and setting it down, even if it's not 100% for you. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh, it's yours. Yes, indeed. I've been working on this for like a week. I wanted to do something nature related and also up my speed tree skills. I'm wrapping it up at this point. Thanks. Okay, let's grab this and get it into Photoshop. Okay, that's not the right resolution. And I'm blind. Cool. Let's duplicate this. And let's look at the shot as it is. So compositionally, I like the angle. I think it's good. I don't remember if this scene was being talked about in critiques, because I think there was the comment maybe for some underbrush. Hey, Curious, how you doing? Thank you for the resub. It was. So as Chris Radsby was talking to you about adding the undergrowth and the dead leaves and whatnot. So first, let's comment on some of the. I'm gonna make this black and white for a little while, just so that we can highlight some things. So we've got some floating leaves, so watch out for those. So watch out for floating leaves or floating shapes. You've got these types of clusters of leaves, or like undergrowth, I guess I should say. For the most part, I think they look like they're kind of on the same plane, right? So getting, well, no, maybe they're not. They have some layering to them. Like some are under others. Getting a little bit more of that layering, I think could go a long way. Since right now all the shadows feel very similar in distance from the leaves, so it breaks the illusion that it's quite natural, right? It's from Megascans actually. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, that doesn't stop you from editing it though, right? Yeah, so you can see all the shadows are very similar distance or equally distant from the leaf to the ground. And getting more variety and range between those is going to add more of that kind of faked volume, if you want to say it like that. It will become more voluminous because of it. Yeah, let's see what else we got going on here. Overall, I like the composition. The undergrowth and all those types of details are really good. It feels, maybe it's my monitor, it feels very saturated. Like I almost want to I want to tone it down just a hair. And when we look at the composition, it's hard to read. What I'm reading right now is like if we take this and we do a blur, I'll just do I'll convert this to a smart object. Blur, Gaussian blur. So if we blur this, it's kind of like a squint test. It's like, okay, what am I seeing? And you're seeing this side's dark, right? You're seeing this side's dark. You're seeing this and this, and maybe like this area here. Little squint test. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So what we want to do is improve the composition even at like a squint level. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna turn this off temporarily. Hey, how you doing, Santos? What's up? So let's actually, I'm going to delete this. I'm gonna rasterize it again. I'm gonna group it, and then we'll put the filter on top of that afterwards. I'm trying to think of how we want to. So that's the blur, right? So what we want to look at is how do we improve the composition given what we're seeing right now. And what I usually do is I like to take one of the layers and brighten it up. Maybe not too far, but let's go ahead and just brighten that all up here. And then I'll just put a mask on there and invert this. And what we want to do is use value to control what's popping out further, right? So we can start with I think I'll just start painting on. So we want the pathway to pop out. We want this and this this stuff to pop out as well, right? And then let's leave it there for now. So if we make a smart object out of that, we can put the we can put the blur on that. Oh no, That's not going to work how I want it to work. Can I blur on this? Oh, wow. It got rid of the... Okay, hang on here. It's like, this isn't working at all. Convert to smart object. So it just gets rid of the... Oh, wow. Okay, I guess we can't do that. Okay. This is what we'll do then. So I'm going to Gaussian blur this one. So we got that. So what... This is pretty simple when we look at it from this standpoint. Santos, we're looking at composition. We're actually doing feedback on our Discord for our community critiques. I mean, DEF CON, where's your guns, man? So if you see, we're just highlighting that little central area, right? But that's definitely not enough. What we need to do, I'm going to just go a little bit further and just kind of, instead of incrementally build on this, I'm just going to go nuts. So we're going to push in both directions. Let's do it like this. I'm just going to grab this side. I'm going to copy and paste it, and then we can do like a levels on it. So you want to push that area down maybe. You can see this tree is also very dark. I don't know if I can just select that. Let me see if I can. Kinda. That'd be crazy if it actually just worked. This is a little hardcore for it to figure out. But this is good enough, because what we want to do is you want to make sure that that tree is not popping out like the rest, because compositionally it's pulling away, it's pulling your eyes away because it was such a dark attribute to begin with. So if we go, if we push the wonder if I can, it's not working too well, but before it was quite bright, pushing it, or it was quite dark, so pushing it up is kind of pulling you away from looking at that area, and continues to bring focus to this section here, right? So if we just keep building on this, the other thing to do is to separate out the backdrop. So if we've got this whole back area here, I'm just gonna like do it like this. And these are very, very rough selections, so don't worry about it too much. I'm going to go in here and select inside of here as well. But you can see what I'm doing now is I'm trying to separate out the layers so that your perspective can pop a bit more. So if we brighten this up, we can do something maybe like that. Let me see if we... That looks crazy, I know. We can just erase on the side here and erase over here, so that way the transition is a little better. And then I guess if possible, we would go one step further and just kind of like lasso out this whole core area back here. So this area, let's see if we got the right one. Yep. And we make that one even, maybe not like that, but maybe something like this. This will help push your elements even further back. So if we take this one, maybe like push this down like that, now you get a little bit more separation. Of course, this sky back here should be lighter as well. And now it's starting to look a little foggy. Magtel, what's up, man? Thanks. And this is just kind of pushing the values up and down, right? So it's really about, what do you want us looking at? What do you want us focusing on? we let's go and grab this again. Go across this way, and we bring those up. Oh, weird. Hang on here. I just noticed that it was pasted in a weird spot. It's like offsetting itself. Am I going crazy? There we go. Weird. Yeah, so bringing some levels up to this. Of course you want to be careful with how much it's blowing out. But you can see how much more focus we have here. I mean, we could even go in and you get that vignette going on the sides here. I have it on its own layer. Let's do this a little bit better here. I'm just gonna paint this like this, and then we'll just erase inside the core here. You can lower this down. So it's really like getting us to look down that way. Control Shift V. Is that what? Are you serious? Yeah, now Assassin's commenting on the way that these are built. I'm just mainly looking at the composition. So are you for real if I do Control Shift V? What it that just like duplicates all the layers, right? Oh yeah, paste in place. Yeah, that's the weird part. As I'm doing Control Shift V, I don't understand why it was offsetting like that. But in these really bright areas, that's where you're going to get saturation kind of peaking up as well. And you can do all types of stuff to like you can pull saturation down or up based on like the look you're going for. The other thing you could do is we grab this image. I'm just going to paste it on top of itself. And then we're going to do like a camera raw filter. And this is to illustrate the power of color temperature when it comes to how you're dealing with your temperature of your scene. So you'll notice that it starts to look a little bit more realistic when you introduce a bit of blue into your scene. And that's because all the ambient lighting is usually a blue, right? Because your sky is blue. So it's kind of filling in all of the shadows being a little bit bluer. So what you could do is do that. And then where you want the warmth, you would just add a layer and remove that kind of cold that we introduced. But as things get further away, more atmosphere is going to get in the way of what you're seeing. So that should introduce more of the ambient color. And shadows tend to become brighter and not so like, I mean, they're not as dark, right? But highlights, those like shiny things or like sparkling snow and stuff like that, that comes through atmosphere really easily. But yeah, if we take this and let's turn this off here, and we just kind of look at just getting us to focus in areas is the key when it comes to composition, because composition is actually not as scary, I would say, as it's kind of led to believe, or as we're led to believe. It's more about like, okay, where do you want us looking? How do we build on the like from this view? I know that there's a path, so I know that's the intention. And with this here, you're almost getting this like curve here, which is kind of like a half or like a C cut in your composition. But yeah, hopefully that helps. I'm sure you can do most of this without Photoshop. And then you do those little finer tweaks in your post. Let me do one more check, and then we'll move on, because I know there's a bit more people to feedback on, but I wanted to look at where are we at here? Levels check. So do a levels check. This is basically me applying a gradient map that's got some colors to it. And so if it's black, it's approaching too dark, and that's information you're not going to be able to change or move around in post. So be careful to not let that happen. I think I've gone pretty extreme with the black range in here, so let's push this down a little bit more. So you're not losing everything, but there's some pixels you're not going to really be able to move in value or saturation because there's less information being allocated to it. The other thing too is like the sky should probably be a bit bluer. Predator vision. Nice. So for example, if we take your levels here and we start bringing this up, you can see somewhere in this range. You don't want this to be full blue because, like we were saying, full blue is going to basically be white pixels. So if we turn that off, this is a little bit closer to the level that I think that you would expect. We could do something maybe more along these lines if you needed that contrast. But again, I feel like it's very flat. So when we pushed the elements in the back up and the elements on the side down, you really like start to zone in on like what you want us to focus on. But yeah, that was a big one. Super cool scene though. Hopefully that helps. It's the scene's looking pretty cool. I would say it's getting close to done. It's just those tweaks, those adjustments. And I agree with the comment as well on the moss. Try and see if you can get quite a high value in your roughness to try and get that quite diffused surface. I would say ash is like 1.0. And if possible, maybe a mask that gives you the ability to mask where Fresnel is. I don't know if that's possible without going into strata materials inside of Unreal, which I think are in like a beta stage right now. But yeah. All right. Poodlestein, looks like you're doing the club challenge. Super cool. Bit sloppy, but I'm feeling it out. I mean, it's all good, man. Thank you very much. Can I ping you on Discord when I finish these for feedback? Yeah, just post in the critiques channel and at me on it, and I'll get to it when I see it, or when I have a moment. Oh, hello. So this looks pretty cool. You posted 2 of them. So one of the initial feedbacks I wanted to give is like, when it comes to these rock sculpts or this drive to like push on what is already being given to you, like in the brief mesh, if you want to call it that. Oh, Poodlestein, it's fine, man. There's lots of Discord communities, and if you feel like you get value from like posting it here to get feedback, posting it in our Discord to get feedback, that's great. I don't mind. I wouldn't say this is cross promoting a Discord. This is you asking for feedback, and I don't mind the cross promoting. We don't allow it in the Discord itself, but I think that's just a common courtesy for all of Discord servers. Like it's just a kind of like oh yeah, we don't post unless the server posts for us or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, the club challenge. The club is a Discord server. They're a great server, very inclusive, nice place to be. Every January they do a rock sculpt challenge. I think last year I did it. I did like 3 or 4, and then I was like, okay, I'm tired. You can't keep up with all the challenges, you know? So the feedback I want to give on this is they give you an initial mesh, and you want to stick with that mesh, right? There's nothing wrong with chopping up that mesh or using the mesh as a block out and then sculpting a bunch of different rocks and then put those rocks on top of each other to create the original silhouette. So you could use this you could use their mesh as the blockout mesh, sculpt a few, and position them on top of each other. Because sculpting inside of here becomes very difficult, right? And being able to mask and whatnot. Imagine if this was separate. Imagine if this was separate. You can do that. That's totally fine. And I think it's much easier to work with when you do that. For a second, I thought you were holding your breath. Oh my God. So, with that said, let's copy this and bring it in here for a gander. I'm going to lower the brightness of this a bit just so we can get the contrast of the color for the feedback. This is like my new favorite color, this kind of yellowish color. So we have this shape, right? It's kind of hard to tell what type of rock it is. I can see that you're doing this kind of striation lines. Striation lines basically appear because you have layers of sediment over long periods of time that collapse and like compound on each other, and they compress and become that, that strong rock. So early on when you're sculpting rocks, I would say understanding which direction you want your striations to be in is what's going to guide you in all aspects of like how the rock is shaped and is created. So like for me, my favorite area is actually right here. Of this whole sculpt, I would say it's here, maybe a little bit here as well. And that's just because you have these initial lines that follow the striations, and then you have a tension edge here, and wherever fractures happen tend to follow the flow of those striations, right? Even when there's like little cracks, they all need to like kind of go in the same direction. So if this is all cracked, wherever there's like high points, those would be points where maybe like the striation line would be present. And the main reason for that is each of these sediment layers is going to have a different type of strength per layer. On average, they're all going to be relatively the same strength because it's the type of rock that it is. But each of those layers is going to break down a little differently from each other. So if you can imagine, if we were to take this whole layer here and this bottom half, this section here, let's say that this whole section is weaker than here. That would explain why this chip happens. So when that chip occurs, if you follow the rules that you've already set out by your striation lines, this line here is where this sounds completely crazy. I know I'm just kind of going off about rock logic. This crack here is arguably the edge of this surface, right? So wherever this line is, that crack would likely end there, and you'd probably get an overhang unless the overhang became too great. And then at that point, if the overhang is too great, then it's only a matter of time before this layer breaks. So it could be that you go from up like this, flat, there's an underhang, and then it breaks further and then meets up to this one. So you're getting that logic in that helps you understand where things are at. What I actually like to do is when you do these lines, these striation lines, is think of some macro striations or macro breaks in striation. So if we delete this here, imagine you mask this area and this area. Maybe you shrink your mask down, you mask this area out, maybe another one here and this one. Then there's like this piece here. That's all a mask. You grab that and move it left. Now you've got layers of striation with long-term like erosion or breakdown that's in a more natural way, that's also following the striations that you've sculpted in. So the reason I'm bringing this all up is because when you look at how your rock is formed, and now that we know all of this, now you can see where if flow is this way, you can see where it breaks. So we'll use this. So these types of breaks actually don't follow the flow of the striations at all. So these can happen with extreme blunt force, right? Or like an extreme explosion or something like that, or a collapse of another rock onto another rock. So these can be explained, but they're going to be much more localized, and then they need to also kind of visualize damage or visualize gravity in the way that they fell apart and kind of collapse on each other. So when I look at this piece here, this break is so unnatural for me, and this curve is so smooth that it actually looks like this was all one piece as a statue, and then a car hit this corner or something like that. I don't have a sense of scale. I need to like understand how big or small something is. What I would highly suggest doing is adding a terrain, just a plane, subdivide it a ton, and get that kind of skirt up the sides of it. That'll help ground the rock, and it gives you an opportunity to add smaller rocks and really kind of get kind of sand or dirt into the crevices, and helps you kind of visualize and understand like how that looks. And it gives you an opportunity also to sell the scale. But yeah, it gets really complicated in here. It looks like you're bashing a few pieces together. You just want to make sure that where they rest on each other feels natural and isn't clipping in a way that kind of breaks the illusion. But yeah, in your other image, I would say it's even more so in the direction that we were talking about. So, do you notice how much more accurate your work is looking in the striations? And it has everything to do with the way that you've been cutting your rocks. Because you're still allowed to make these primary shapes, and as long as like the striations help blend it together, it ends up feeling more natural because of it. I even remember this shape. The thing I think that feels the weirdest for me is like these smaller rocks at the base and trying to explain how those are there. It's actually probably better. It's probably better to take this piece, polish that up, duplicate it, scale it down, and push it like you can do it like this. Scale it down and push it like into these areas. You know, do stuff like this. And then rebuild it together that way. Yeah, making this one more directional. I mean, overall, it's like I really like this area. It's a little soft in areas. But like if this was underwater, for example, that softness kind of sells itself. But it's more about understand the rock that you want to sculpt, the rock type. And then from there, let's look at this. It's like you understand the rock type you want to make, and then all of the rules are already set out for you. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so let's copy this, and I'll just bring this over. Oh man, it's really interesting because like even in this concept, like this rock type and this rock type are completely different. Is that strange? It's working, but it's so weird to me that those are two different rocks in that sense. But you're pretty spot on with this whole directionality thing. And you can see there's another direction that's happening. So it's almost like as this gets to here, if it starts to rap like a like R&B style, and then wraps here, you're gonna get some. You're starting to understand how those layers happen. 300 plants. What's up, man? Good to see you. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. The rocks are looking cool. Looking really cool. Let's see here. It looks like you're learning a lot from it as well. Okay, so Paco, hello. We're gonna get you that red tag. Sticking the neck out for critiques gets you the red name. Thanks for the advice and help. First of all, plenty of things to do, but I'm kind of happy how it's going. This is probably going to be my first portfolio piece. This is pretty good for the first piece, because there's a lot of things you have to think about and process as you're going. The shot wasn't made for the main camera. The shot wasn't made from the main camera. Oh, I see. And so, and you have another image as well, just to support your. Let's get that up there. Yeah. So when you're building this this scene here, I'm just gonna pin this. Yeah, there we go. By the way, can I ask you a question about giving feedback? Yeah, go for it. I can answer it after I go through this one. So when we look at this, understanding how you want to approach building this, because you're saying this is your first environment, this can be built in a number of ways, right? And if there's one thing that's really good to think about, it's how do I build this quickly? The faster you get at building and how good it looks is usually what ends up being the most important, I think, when it comes to production. When it's personal art, it doesn't matter all that much. But you have an archway here. You've got this pillar here. You've got an arch here. You've got a wall, right? And then you've got the ground, and where the wall meets the ground. We'll just go out like this. Cut the dude's head off. Nice. That's how we like to play. Building this out and really looking at, let's grab that reference you had as well. What is going on? Doesn't want me to minimize. Oh, is that like really high res? Wait. It's really high res. Look at that. All right. Well, let's paste that in there. Hello. What are you looking at? Blah. Looking at all of the little micro scale things, first of all, we have this area here, right? Oh, come on. There we go. So you've got this area here. That actually looks like it comes out a little bit. So keep in mind about the angle of things. Layering wise, it looks like it's all right. I think this probably is tighter than how you've blocked yours out. I think that happens a lot quicker. But yeah, you've got this archway that feels taller in the reference versus yours. So it's a matter of like how close you want to match your reference. But the other big thing is figuring out how to split this up. And what I would actually suggest doing is either taking these pillars, making this one asset, and taking this archway and making it part of the wall. Right? So if you've got your wall piece here, it's going to bug me if it's too small. There we go. You take this wall piece, your arch, and make that one asset. Make your pillar one asset and make this archway one asset as well. Now you're working with 3 meshes instead of I mean, honestly, I don't know how you have it split up, so maybe this is actually how you have it split up. But it makes it much easier to allocate textures in a more uniform resolution type of way. So like this archway, let's say that's using like a 1024 texture for the bake of the normal and the ambient occlusion. Maybe your albedo's tiling, and it's just your ambient occlusion. Your roughness could be unique as well. You actually have 4 meshes. Interesting. So maybe you've got this like inner core area separate as well. Maybe these are the same, like this one and this one are the same mesh. Either way, splitting those up and thinking about the way they're all separated is going to help you build faster. Splitting it up too much slows you down because now you have more things to work on. So there's a specific way for like, well, there's not a specific way. There are ways to split it up that speed up your process for creating the content. The other thing I wanted to mention is looking at where the floor meets the wall. Whatever is happening here, I would see what it looks like in the reference and then try and build from there. And don't hesitate to, like, it's very easy for these pathways to be one mesh and they're just going, for forever. If that's the case, you're just quickly going to notice the tiling unless you can do either some vertex painting or some breakup. See if there's ways that in the real life scene that they found ways to, like they were having tiling problems. Like they had patterns in their floor that allowed them to break it up. So then if, like, say there's a pattern here, right, and a pattern here, now you've got this piece that you can build out. So this can be one, and then you can use it again here. Or maybe that pattern that's here is a piece. So then that would be 1 and this would be 2. So you go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you just keep going until you build your floor out. Yeah, dealing with the floor and how it transitions to the wall. The other thing you can do, this is why a lot of propping happens, is like, you're like, oh, we'll put objects here, which is a great way to get rid of this line. This line is what we call this, is a laser line. You want to watch out for those. Because those are the things that kind of break the illusion of complexity. They break the illusion of, oh, this is 3D, instead of like, oh, this is really cool looking. You get pulled out and it's 3D. So you're using a 4x4 meter plane. So I would hesitate to, I would avoid, let's say that this is 4 meters. Maybe this is this size here. I would hesitate to have a surface meet another surface with a clean seam like this. Because if you get used to relying on that, the moment someone tells you like, oh, we can't do that in our game or whatnot, then you have to know how to build without that. That's why I tend to lean on like these kind of patterns that are happening in the middle or in between to help transition. What's up, Black Holex? Black Holex? Hello. Or is it X65? Yeah, thinking about elements that way and thinking about ways to terminate assets before they meet each other is really important, I think. That way, the way they meet doesn't break down very easily as they lot out, for example, which maybe you're not thinking about right now. It's something to think about later. But if you get in the habit of breaking up your floors and not worrying about, trying not to take the way out of just having a plane meet another plane and just having a triplanar so that they line up perfectly. Because all it'll take is someone in the technical department to say we can't do that, it's too expensive, or we're not supporting that for this game. Would having one whole mesh for the entire hallway be too unpractical in a production environment? It depends. It depends. Is the game one giant hallway? Or is it open world? Is this hallway twice as long as the hallway next to it? If the hallway next to it is half the length, maybe this should be double, right? So then this would be one piece and then there would be a second one. Okay. But yeah. I think it's looking pretty good. Think about how the pillars and the walls meet up, as well as the wall and the floor. These lines here are the areas for attention. You could do vertex painting if you're not worried about like LODs and vertices getting chewed away, changing the pattern of the vertex paint. You'll see a pop in that if that's a thing. And I usually would just say make a mask and use that as variation for colors or value. But it's looking cool for a first environment. I'd be curious to see your progress on this. Don't hesitate to at me on it, and ask for, when you ask for feedback in the critiques channel, ask for very specific stuff. You're like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to transition my wall to the floors. You know, you can get some answers there. But yeah, cool. Raggedy, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Okay. Poodlestein, I see your question, sir. Let's get to it. So, question for later. How do you balance how many suggestions to give without overwhelming the person? I was helping Shokri with his scene and I found myself constantly pulling myself back on how much to suggest because I don't want to be responsible for someone's burnout. That's a very good question. And I know it should be the person's responsibility to know their limits, but I don't know my own limits in overscope scenes all the time, so I don't want to push someone to do that too much. That's a very good question. Okay. So, let's see here. Let me find the image. I'm going to bring an image up for you. You guys have seen it before. Some of you have not. Very, very nice image for understanding. What are you working on? We're actually doing Black. We're doing feedback for people's work. Yeah. So if you're in the Discord and you've got art that you wanted to get some feedback on, I've got you covered. Let me find that screenshot and then I will kind of give you the rundown. Where the heck is it? Oh, this is going to melt my brain if I can't find this. Hang on here. I think it's very important, so we're taking the time. You're going to go to work now? Hey, thanks for coming by, man. Dude or dudette. Okay, here we go. I found it. Cool, it fits. So, we're talking about feedback and how much to give and when to give. So this timeline here is basically week 1 to week 12 if you wanted to take a scene and complete it in 12 weeks. When do you cut yourself off at each phase, right? We'll zoom in here. Where is that? I mean, normally you get it if you're in my portfolio reviews and you're watching the stream, or if you're taking one of my mentorships, I usually give this out as well. But so you've got your reference gathering, image breakdown, blocking out of your scene, and it's if you think about this, Poodlestein, in how you give feedback, find out where the person is at in their process, in their production, and what they want feedback on specifically. This is another reason I would, like, if someone's like, hey, can I get some feedback on this? Ask them what they want feedback on. Because that helps you self-contain what feedback you're giving. If they want more feedback, they'll ask other things, right, to get feedback on that. So, for example, if you're working on your composition and framing, and they don't ask you for feedback on that, but you ask them where they're at in their process, and they're just thinking about composition. Now you know where to point your feedback fingers at. You know, you're like, okay, let's look at your framing. How many camera angles do you have? What's the main shot? What's the weakness of the main shot? Those types of feedback, all very specific and pointed towards one target, versus like broad, full spectrum, melt everyone's brain feedback. Does that make sense? I imagine that makes sense, but I just see it. No feedback without consent. I mean, that's the best way to teach people to receive feedback is to have them tell you what they need feedback on. Because the feedback they get could be very broad for them, or it can be very specific. And I think the more focused it is on specific things, the better the feedback will be for the person asking for feedback. It's difficult because sometimes I see people asking for feedback, but they don't know. They just say, "I want feedback," or "Can I have feedback?" And you're looking at it. If you can decipher where they're at, if it's very blocked out, then you can assume, okay, I should give them feedback on their block out. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, cool. Cool. Okay. I'm going to close some of these images. We get to this one. I think I grabbed a couple of these, didn't I? No. No, what am I looking at here? Oh, yeah. Yes, okay. Dude. Ooh, we got rocks too. Let's go. Okay. Thank you for your time. This is a modular interactive environment gaming asset. This is a defensive outpost, and I'm displaying the external and internal space of the bunker intended to be sold on the market. I'm still learning the process overall, and the scope of the project turned out to be being more ambitious than initially intended. That happens so often. The other thing is the moment you said external and internal spaces of a bunker, you're instantly making more than one environment, right? Oh, did I miss a person? Oh, I did. Oh, I see her. Oh, it's Irene. Irene, I got you next. Um, let's see here. Let me just make sure. I'm just gonna make sure this is in here. Nice. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Thanks, visual. It's very easy to miss someone if there's not an image. Like if you hide the image in the thread. Not your fault, of course, but cool. I will make sure we get to that. So you're saying that this is pretty ambitious. Um, I don't know what the submission requirements are for the Epic Store in terms of what is responsible for in terms of interactivity and functionality, or just the textured static assets. It really depends. I think when you apply, you give them all of the content, you tell them what it is and what you're trying to submit, and then they give you feedback, usually in the form of a document that has a checklist of all the stuff that you're missing. So, if it's your first time posting, I would suggest going into the scene. I would honestly, what I would do is take the inside here. Maybe I see what you're trying to sell here. So I'd make another prop or a set of props that are very simple for you to do. It's your first time here. I really appreciate you coming in, Irene. So I would build a set of maybe like 5 props that are all kind of associated with each other and just put that on the market. Go through the process of submitting something to the marketplace, knowing that will come back and you can learn from that process. That way you don't get bogged down by the entire like bringing in this giant asset that's likely to come back with a ton of feedback that just feels like it sets you back further. Go through the process with a very simple submission first. So that being said, this looks cool. It's kind of hard to read where entrances are at or how this even functions, because right now it's not on a ground, right? So it's a space. It's a bunker. So is it supposed to be underground? Is any of this exposed? Like, you need the context, you know what I mean? I need to understand how it's used in the environment. It'll sell better as well if people understand how it's meant to be used. The inside looks cool. It looks more like a ship than like. He posted context further down. Oh, let's go. Oh, I see. Okay. So your asset is very busy. So if we open these up as well. So there's a lot going on. I like the details that you're modeling in. They're honestly they're a little on the simple side. Just because you can be like, oh, like if you can reverse engineer how you're building things, then like I feel like it's a little too simplistic, unless that's the style, you know. So you've got these little insets and details here that kind of go inward and outward, and all this is doing is adding a lot of detail, right? You want to work with that 30-70 ratio. Magtel, thank you as well for the comment on that. Twitch just crashed horribly for you. I don't want to know, man. I hope this VOD is saved. Yeah, so we look at these details. This is high frequency detail. This is even high frequency detail. This area here, this is an area of rest. Down here, area of rest, area of rest. Right now, I would say you're doing the 30-70 rule reversed. So I would suggest simplifying certain areas and keeping detail in some other spots. So if we take, let's copy this image. Let's go into Photoshop and we'll just kind of like, we'll just, let's simplify some things. Right. So if we take these larger details out. Oh, nice. Thanks. No. It's already much easier to look at or understand, and you start to go, oh, that's where the door is. Even if this was shut, it becomes much easier to read, you know? So balancing that out and figuring out like, okay, I've got all these details. Making those details be in 30% of the asset will help a lot. Taking the value of the panels and kind of pushing them closer to the same values. So like, for example, this inner panel here being closer to the color of this turns it into an area of rest as well. So it doesn't even have to be about the frequency of the detail. It could be just the contrast. But, oh, did it die? Oh, man. You think it's fine now? Just my luck. Try a refresh. All right, Twitch is starting to struggle. So, I think it just resurrected. Lots of channels are crashing. Nice. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to Amazon servers, am I right? Oh man. I'm just gonna try something really fast and see if it explodes things. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna do a custom size. I'm gonna mask out this area here, and then I'm gonna start. So what I'm trying to do is set up a recording backup just in case. Oh God, buddy, are you serious? Ace, I haven't even like fully gone through. Basically, what I'm telling you to do is lower your amount of detail you're adding. Right now, you've got detail across the board. Go to a 30-70 ratio where 70% is kind of like this easy to look at, and 30% detail. And you can add detail, like, say the door is relatively easy to look at. Like, it doesn't even have to be. Let's see here. So if you went with, bro, come on. No detail can also be visually interesting, you know? So lowering your detail amount could be really, really beneficial just to try and simplify what you're looking at. Makes it easier to digest, and it's not as hard on the eyes. People can look at it longer as well. So simplifying your information so that it's easy to digest, and then looking at your detail and bringing it to a 30-70 ratio where 70% is calm spaces, 30% is high frequency, and that goes for the contrast between materials as well. If like this panel here was lighter, it becomes less busy without having to change the modeling, right? So hopefully that makes sense for you. And Ace, hopefully, yes, guilty. I mean, dude, it's easy to add a lot of detail. The other thing is hopefully Twitch has a backup VOD from the recording. I don't know if anyone wants to check that and see if it lets you go back. You just go to our VOD section on this channel and just see if you're able to scroll back or if it was completely gone. But yeah, cool. It's looking cool. I don't know if you heard my other suggestion. Make sure that you don't. I would try to submit a scene or something else to the marketplace. You're pretty sure, Valken? I mean, if not, that sucks, man. I need to start recording again or something. Pretty sure. Well, we'll see. It's not your fault if it's not. Don't worry. I won't hold you to it. I was going to say, the VOD seems work. Nice, Sandy. Thank you for checking. Really appreciated. Submit a set of assets. It crashed right when you read my post. Dang, dude. So submit a set of assets as like your first pack to Epic, just so that you can go through that process so that you know what's coming for something bigger like this. I don't want you to like submit a big thing, get a ton of feedback, and then it drowns you and you never want to end up posting it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right, Irene. Let's here's my recording test. Nice. Okay, Irene, what is up? Oh man, Gotland, let's go. So, this time I remake my old project. The goal was to make something better and more realistic. Wait, so this is the old one and this is the new one? Non? Oh, okay. How am I with snow? Without oh, I see what you're doing. So it's just the way the shader is set up. It makes it so I wouldn't worry about it being a remake. Or highlighting it as a remake. I think having it with snow, I don't think you need this image. Because the with snow is just gonna be more interesting, I think. I guess in the shader, you built it so that the snow does build up. So it actually does like a displacement. Substance designer, start. This is really intriguing. Okay, and then you textured it as well. So, um, oh man, dude, you built a global function. Very cool. Okay. I'm just kind of soaking this in. So give me a second here. So everything is really busy in the sculpt. Snow and not snow. Yeah, yeah. I got you now. So you can see how I misunderstood that though, right? Especially like you said remake. I'm assuming that maybe there's an image in here that's the old one. But if we look at what you've done with the sculpt, I think this is the area that we focus on. So you've got the sculpted information, and then you have this really noisy detail as well. Getting a little bit more depth there and maybe toning back on the noise allows for the details that you've actually sculpted to come through. And then this kind of noisier material can be a detail normal that you tile on top. Because then you can individually control the strength of that as well as how much it's tiling, which would allow for this information to show a little bit better. Man, it's so wobbly. I guess because it's really old, right? It's like really old. Dude, eights. Dude, yeah. So given that, I would say what I would look at, and the great thing about Substance Painter, as long as everything was textured, like anything that you painted manually on here, and if you didn't paint in here, you should be able to just straighten your UVs of these, like straighten these all out. That way they're not so like this curve. You don't want that in your UVs. So if these all get straightened out, you can re-import the mesh, and it'll actually, you can rebake all of the. I do recognize it. Stream critique chat. You put the old one in there. Let me see here. Oh yeah, this is a huge improvement. So yeah, what I would do is straighten out the UVs, bring it back in here, rebake the maps, and it'll just correct itself. Is that a seam right there? Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, so you have a seam here, right? And I'm assuming that has to do with displacements that you're doing in Substance Painter after the fact, because this island looks like it's lower than this one in the normal information or height information. So double check that stuff. When it comes to how this looks, it's quite warm, but I think in your environment, I guess I need to see it in real life. Do we have like a? We're grabbing this. I'm gonna search this really quick here. That's not it, is it? Wait. Is it? Is it preserved now? It's in a museum. Okay. Because I think the lighting of it right now, it's very warm. Like it's all of the lighting is really warm. Like if we did the camera filter raw in here, just cooling it off helped a lot. You know, you get the blue that you see in the sky. Like this looks like it's got a bit of an Instagram filter vibe to it. So just keeping that in mind. Um, where are we at here? Dude, my computer's kind of acting weird. I'm scared. The sculpt is really interesting. It's very organic and old feeling, so it becomes really difficult to be able to read how it looks. Where the snow is building up feels a little unnatural in some areas. Like this upper area feels really good, but in here it feels more like it's a noise that's being applied on top. I wouldn't hesitate to add more snow clump meshes that line up with the rest of the snow on the ground, just to get that variety and break up on the ground. The other thing is the snow shader itself for the floor, for like the snow in the environment. feels like it needs a bit of a subsurface pass on it. Right now it's very dense looking. The other thing you can do is you can see how sharp the shadow is. I don't know if you're... I know you're in Unreal, but I don't know which Unreal you're in. Because like if you're in 5 or 5.1, you can change the how soft the shadows become as they get further from the object. It's kind of like your Penumbra 5.1. You can soften that edge. I mean, I wonder if I can just... I'm going to just load that up. As I say that, with my computer acting crazy. Overall, the asset looks, I mean, it looks pretty good. It's got a lot of work that it needs in the sculpt in order to clean up the busyness of it. But it has the old feeling that you're going for. It's your second time in Unreal? Oh, let's go. That's awesome. That's cool that you're jumping in. How long have you been in the school? Because you're in where were you at? You're in a school, but I don't know where. I'm just gonna load up this one, and I'll just show you really fast. Only online courses sometime. Oh, dude, crazy. Okay, that's cool. The future's now. Come on, Unreal. I believe in you. Okay, here we are in the scene. If I, I'll hide my camera here. So let's just grab the, if you do, hang on here. So if you do Control L, you can move the sun around. And if we go to the directional light, you'll see down here in the panel here, source angle. So I think default source angle is like 0.1, or maybe it's 1, but you can see it's very sharp, right? So if you make the default source angle higher, as it gets further from the object, the sharpness of it is going to diffuse out. So you can turn this up, and you can see becomes more and more extreme. So if you get really, if the light gets really far away, or an object is really really far, it diffuses out quite a bit. But then as the object gets closer, it gets sharper. So the contact shadow is quite sharp, and then it diffuses outward. Default is 0.537. That's probably an actual mathematic reason for that. Source angle 0.537. There you go. Yeah, so you can see it's softer out here and then quite sharp throughout. But yeah, it's a nice feature. Definitely use it. 5357. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Freak, come on, man. But yeah, look at the temperature of all of your materials and the temperature of your lighting. And I think that should give you a good spot to be in. Probably related to the size of the sun disk or something. You're probably right. It's something like that. Okay, so I guess you were using this as like your... See, this is great because you can go in. Hang on, I gotta see this. You can grab this texture, right? And I'm imagining this looks like it's maybe a photo that you took. So if you took this, let's make it black and white, and you go in and you crunch this down. Let's do something like that. You can see there's textual information in there. We get rid of most of it. Use that as your mask. And if you need to, you can go in and you can Gaussian blur it and just really like soften the edge, because that'll help with the transition. You created SVG node. Oh, nice. That's a nice approach. But yeah, you can see by softening the edge a little bit or blurring it, which you could do in Designer as well, gives you the ability to displace it pretty well in ZBrush. But SVG is also, you can do that displacement in ZBrush as well. But yes, let's get on to Mr. Exile. Irene, hopefully that was helpful to you. Let me know if you have any other questions. We got some rocks, yo. So there's the execution of the content is quite good. Hello, that's me. It's good to see you, Exile. It's good to see some stuff from you as well. We can't always be producing, of course. So I totally I totally get that. So we've got some edge highlights that are happening. You've got this directionality going on here. I'm just going to highlight some of these so that we can make sense of it. So for the most part, I would say it's not getting too strange or alien. You're just lazy as always. Dude, it's not laziness, man. You're not being lazy, I promise you. You're enjoying life, that's all. Even if it's sitting on the couch. I do that all the time. So this type of action, this stuff here, right here, you see this a lot actually in rocks. This kind of like V shape with the bottom of the V cut off. And then, or it's starting to happen, but then it stops because of like just where things are at. Like there's no more rock, so it just doesn't happen anymore. The middle one looks like a face. Wait, what? Man. It's going to be okay, man. So, I really like the approach that you have with the texturing on here. Don't hesitate to have this kind of mossier looking material go on top of the scratches or like the sharper edges, just because it's going to overgrow anyways. I can't unsee it now. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Forgive me. Hmm. I really like these. They're kind of breaking some weird rules with rocks. Just with the, when I was highlighting the edges here. But I like, the thing is they're kind of like game rocks. That's the interesting part. I imagine you can probably use this a lot with reuse. Like rotating it in different directions and using it upside down and backwards and 180 degrees and 90 degrees. And because like with these directions, right, you have this one going this way. This means that now you can take this one. Can I select? There we go. You can take this one and rotate it this way. And then take this one. Oh, come on. Come on. Yeah, so these are like modularity rocks. You can bring this one in front. You can see like these kind of work together. So if you needed another rock over here, it gives you that ability to reuse it and continuing that language. So they're definitely, I'm reading the modularity that you're putting out there, man. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Exile. I'm feeling it. It's good. What I would suggest doing is creating a mask for, because you're saying you want to reuse these a lot in a modular sense. I would create a mask that's for adding the gradient of the how do I highlight this? Let me see here. So you've got this one. Let's move this one into place. We'll hide this one. So we got this rock, right? We're gonna dupe it. We're gonna take this and we're going to add the sun bleaching effect that you see happen on rocks from time to time. But where does it happen, right? It's usually going to be a gradient. So maybe like the top of the rock will have it. But when you rotate your rocks around, how's that going to work? So what I would actually suggest doing is making a mask that gives you access to that sun bleaching. And do it in the shader, definitely. So if you give it a mask where it can sun bleach and where it can't, like of course it can't sun bleach on the mossy areas, and the edge highlights are already bright, so I'd probably not do it to the edge highlights. But you can have that gradient control where it's happening, and then use a mask to say also where it can happen. You can control the gradient itself. If the gradient is world space, that allows you to place a bunch of them together, and then the gradient will work for the overall large structure. That's probably a good way of going about it. If we look at the other rock, this one also has a lot of modular properties to it. Also quite consistent with the other one. Get a little bit of lichen in there. I see it. I see the lichen. Little lichen patches. It's sick, man. It's nice. I don't have too much feedback for this, honestly. I think the edge highlights that you have on this one are not nearly as strong as the previous one, this one. I think the edge highlights that we're seeing here, I just tried to zoom in like it's freaking Photoshop. The edge highlights that are on this asset are a little bit more stylistic. And I kind of like it. Kind of like it more. I think what I would do is if you want some more reuse out of this, bit darker in the base color. Yeah, these are sexy rocks. These are rock-like. So, if we were to look at these ones, if you want to get some variation as well, you could take these highlights and apply a world space cloud or a randomization of a cloud that masks out where these happen. So not every edge is always the same while you're reusing it. I think that could help a lot as well. But really cool, man. I don't have too much feedback on this. It's more about thinking about sun bleaching. And I kind of want to see how you're using these shapes. Right now you've got two shapes. Let me grab this one. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. No? It doesn't want to paste. You son of a... So you've got basically a cube version and a rectangular version. Bray, what's up, man? How you doing? I would try and make a very slate, flat, large one. Like basically this, or like this one. If this one looked... Let's see here. Hope you're well, Bray. If this one was like something like this, it's like you need a quite a flat one that's takes up a lot of space. It's like a placemat, a rock placemat, if you will, and much larger than this one. And I think that'll give you the... I have second round of interviews in an hour. Yo, you got this. I believe in you. Best of luck. But yes, sick rocks, man. Sick rocks. All right, Salvador. What's going down here? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Old diesel generator. Let's go. Okay. No problem, Exile. It's good to see some stuff, man. And don't beat yourself up about being lazy. It's not laziness, man. Okay, finished this last year. Chuckles. Let me try that again. Finished this last year. Chuckles. The chuckle. Hello, beautiful killer bots. What's up, man? Um, Improvement in the textures. I'd appreciate it. Functionality is a little bit questionable, which I know is something I would have, or you want to improve in the future. Had about 3-ish weeks to finish it since it was a challenge. 3 weeks for this. Nice. Pretty much only one side is UV'd since the back was against a wall. So normally I would say UV the other side. Of course, if you're going to, oh man, I forgot to shrink myself. I would definitely be UVing the backside normally because in games we're going to use both sides. You know, we're going to rotate it. We're going to put it at the center of a space in a corner, upright against a wall. We're going to use it as in so many ways. Get that reuse. Cut the costs, you know? Excuse me. I phrased kind of wrong. UVs are mirrored pretty much. Ah, okay. Now you're a genius, Visual. The phrasing went from "why'd you do that" to "you're a genius." I'll take it. So 47,000 triangles. It's pretty high. 512 texel density, 2K map. So if it's a 2K map, this ends up becoming a hero prop. If it's not a hero prop, then I would highly suggest using masks in order to get it down to a 1K or a 2K. Probably a 2K. There's possibility, I guess, for a lot of reuse as well. But I'm assuming there's masks in this as well. Yeah. You keep the normal at a high res. Base color and the ORM map can be lower res. Look at that. What are we looking at here? What is this? This is your No. I'm like, my brain's like roughness, material. What? What? What is O? Metallic roughness occlusion. Metallic roughness occlusion backwards. Metallic roughness occlusion. This is confusing the hell out of me. Because it's backwards. Oh, oh, my brain. Gotta fix that. I'm like, what is that map? What does he mean? 2 UV sets as well? Man, this is a tough one to gauge. Because it's kind of difficult to make this cheap. You know? Given the size of the character as well. Five wait, 512 textile density. So per meter, 512. This looks like it's maybe 5 meters long. Isn't ORM the standard? Yes, it is. I mean, yes. But this is ORM and this is Moro. Created too many UVs. Too many UV sets. Oh, interesting. So they're two 2K maps. So this isn't. I see. I see. I think it's fine. I mean, we're being like micro critical when we try to figure this out. Overall, though, execution's quite good. Variation in your materials. I think if there's anything we could benefit from is maybe like a base to top gradient, where like all the kind of dirtiness kind of happens down here. It looks like it's happening, but maybe it stays too dirty for too long as it goes up, right? But it's pretty cool, man. The other thing with that gradient is you can put that gradient in your in your roughness, and that gradient can help you kind of depict where dust buildup occurs, where the paint is not so reflective, even though it's like super aged and whatnot. It's far less reflective, you know. But maybe some UV straightening in some areas, but overall, I mean, these UVs look pretty good. I appreciate that you broke out your packed map. It was a tough one to optimize polycount wise. I bet it was. I mean, up here is quite. You could get rid of quite a bit of the geometry, and no one would notice in these like these curved areas. You know, the other thing you can do is if we zoom in on this, so you can have the roundness here have more cuts or more loop cuts to make it round, and then in here you can lower it by 2, and usually no one notices that. So you lower that by 2, and then maybe you can cut out another one. But this is, I mean, it's more about how close does the player get to it, right? So like in this upper area, player can't get really that close to it unless it's third person. So you might be able to get away with like one less edge in the bevel here, working with weighted normals in a bake. Like I feel like your bevels you're using one more than you need to, but I guess it depends on how big like the geometry of the cables and stuff here super high. This is quite low considering it's closer to the player than this. This is also quite high. And the bevels at this size, I would just rely on the normal map to relay that type of info. Maybe this could be one bevel. I'm coughing a lot now. I think my throat's getting tired from all this talking. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It reminds me of a Division actually. What is that, Raggedy? I don't understand. This is definitely a hero asset though. For that sneeze cough. Oh, thank you. Oh, Gesundheit. I get you. I get you. Okay, Ben Plant. Let's get in there. Oh man, you're playing Minecraft. Are you listening to me while you're playing Minecraft? Hmm. I don't know if I gave you much visual, but it's pretty cool. Oh, it's you plants. That's right, I forgot. Ben Plants. Let's take a gander. All right, so here's the concept. Still very whip, but I'd love to hear your thoughts you have on it. This is the main ref, so here we go. We got our reference here. Small assets. How dare you? Small assets are the most common and numerous of the whole map. They are mainly damaged and colonized by vegetation. That's weird. It went from like game dev jargon to like world building merged together. Oh my gosh. It's starting. The coughing has started. So this is looking pretty cool. It has a different style, I think, from the concept. Like, are you trying to how are you using it as a guide, or are you trying to go like precise? Potato, potato. Because I would highly recommend on following a lot of the shape language that you're seeing in the foliage. So let's copy this one. Thank you for the awesome submissions. Hmm. Let's get in here. Boom. All right. I'm just gonna. And then let's grab the other. So, oh, nice. Thanks. So right now, I think you're going away from the concept in a way where, so if you're going for stylized, your sculpting, I would say, is fine, and it's more about how you're deciding to texture it and the colors you're using and the shape language you're using. So, so if we take the foliage for example, let's literally grab this. Is this gonna work? Of course not, because I'm on the wrong layer. Let's grab this. Nice. Nice. Is it gonna work? Oh my god. Let there be light. Yo. Okay. Nice. So grabbing that, let's grab this piece too. Actually, sorry. Let's grab this piece. And let's just put this over here so we got something to run with. So what you're wanting to do is if you want to go stylized, um, probably the easiest way to start to maintain that is to just start color matching. So if we go in here, let's grab like this piece here. Oh, whoops. And this piece, yeah, cool. So if we grab this piece and just kind of like, I don't know, wash it out a bit. Maybe that's a little extreme because what you're looking at is you can see in the shadows, your shadows are quite a bit darker. Not too much darker. It's mainly the albedo is too dark. Um, hmm. Maybe the saturation because this is quite white, honestly. Just by doing that, you're already in a territory that's starting to feel pretty good. And when you look at the variety of colors that are in here, of course it's a concept, right? So what the heck is going on here? My Photoshop just was like, nah, man, we're done. We're done. Sorry. Trials or Trial Spring. How you doing? Nice. Progress. Nice. Okay. Okay. I knew something was going on. Dude, I think my RAM is starting to die. I think that's what's happening. I can't even tab well. But I think you're understanding where I'm coming from on this. I really want to illustrate it. So let's go. I have no idea what I'm grabbing back here, but it kind of looks right. Yeah, cool. Nice. Okay, so color matching. You can see we were getting there. Let's just we'll just eyeball it. So, couscous. Famous couscous. Oh my god, come on. Okay, so we worked on our levels. We worked on our saturation. So you're removing a lot of the warmth of those colors. The other thing we want to look at is grabbing these tones. So you want to look at how you could do that in a way that's not, that kind of works with what's happening in the concept. And it's a lot of this shape language, the stuff that's happening here, these types of these details, even this stuff. It's like, what's going on there? So, any of these like smaller things you can add, like drips and whatnot. I don't know what's happening here, but there's things. There's things happening. I mean, I think it's expected that it's old, right? It's aged. So there's a lot of gunk and like griminess, and let's just get some dirty in there. And then we'll just blend that so that we have something to go with. Something similar. So we're getting a little closer. There's definitely some like almost some blowout in what's happening with the color. So if we were to like burn at a highlight, you're getting a little bit of that going on. Also, there's the lighting direction. For yours, of course, right now yours is more on the side here. You can see as we lower the saturation, it gets even closer. Don't be afraid to use like a color. Don't blow it out with lighting, but like a color that lightens that up as well. You can see there's a lot of like splotchiness in here and noise. The other thing I think was there's like a blue. So you've got this blue. Trying to find like where it's kind of in shadow, but not. Maybe we do this blue. So it's understanding like, okay, that blue is in shadow, right? So if it's in shadow, it's probably not too accurate. So it's probably this color. Where is my color swatch? I think I'm looking at the wrong stuff. Here we go. So it's probably going to be a little bit less saturated and a little brighter. And that's probably closer to the colors you're looking for. So then you can get those colors going on in here, right? And we'll just kind of eyeball it. I'll just real quick job there. There you go. Getting those colors in there and then tweaking them. Let's do that. You can then start to adjust. Like, okay, what color is working there? Maybe it's like a deeper. It's probably going to be brighter because your side's in brightness, right? It's probably closer to this. So knowing those and understanding those elements is what's going to help like pull things together. Because now, like if we delete this, you can see how much closer this pillar is to the concept than it used to be. So it's about understanding the languages that are happening in the shot. It's the same with the foliage. Your foliage is Like this is pretty warm, and yours is not so warm, right? I have no idea how well this is going to select. Probably not at all. I'll just try it really quick, and then if not, then we move on. So we've got one more person to critique. Matthew Gorney. Okay, go down here. Come on, give me that grass selection. Look at that. Nice. Nice. It has no idea what it's trying to do. Anyways, it's about oh, Valken. Is that you? Dude, crazy. Awesome. So let's bring this up. So bring up that brightness. Let's go and let's hit that saturation, and we shift it. Let's see, maybe a little more towards that direction. No, hang on. I'm trying to see what colors we're looking at, but I think you get the idea. The other thing too is, like we were saying earlier, the shape language of the foliage that you're seeing in here. Lean into that. Lean into that like no tomorrow. I don't know what is this Unreal plant? Because if this is Unreal, okay, it is. This like algae stuff on the ground or on the surface of the water. There's some magic to be had there. You can do that with either a card and vertex paint, or you can do it in the shader for the water and just get that kind of what is it called? I think you would use distance fields to make that mask, and then you would use a noise that matches these splotches to turn that distance field rim into that kind of splotchy noisiness. And it would get thicker as it gets closer to the object. So that should be pretty doable. There's some bigger ones over here. These ones I think could be placed. And then it looks like, I mean, I would say 1 plant, 2 plant, 3 plant, 300 plant. See what I'm saying there? 300 plants. There's like three plants in here. Very similar shape language. You can do a lot of mixing between all the plants. But yeah, it's really about like color matching. Like even your water. Now the reason I'm saying color match is because you're trying to get closer to a stylized look, right? And right now a lot of your colors are, the way they're being applied is a very different approach. But yeah, cool. Okay. I hope that helps. 3 plants and the duckweed. All right, Valken. You are last, sir. Let's go. Let us take a gander. So, here's your references. Crypto Museum. Nice. Nice. You've been busy. Man, I love seeing there's more. Too many to fit. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, what's your goal? I'm at the high poly phase, bringing this into ZBrush, the high poly pass, just looking for overall modeling feedback, references added, not meant to be 100% the same, but similar. Okay, so we got our references here. Let's just zoom in a little bit. We've got some like pretty small bevels going on. Oh my god, here's all the references, just FYI. Not too crazy. You should see some Miro boards. At work, there's Miro boards that are like thousands of this. It's not too crazy. It's a cool prop to build on, though. So, looking at these details, seeing where bevels are at, usually when you're recreating things in real life, from real life, The bevels of reality, I would always try to scale them up a little bit, maybe double it. So there's some elements here, like this edge here, that's pretty tight. And to bake that type of detail over is going to require quite a high res normal map bake. That's one of the reasons you'd want it to be wider, right? What I would do is figure out 3 bevel sizes. Have your large, medium, and small, and your small shouldn't be as small as this. So with that said, I mean, otherwise, this is looking pretty cool. It's mainly bevels and making sure that areas have enough thickness. That way they bake well. Or that the bevels are large enough so that they bake well. Because like even from this screenshot, which I don't know if it's, yeah, so in this screenshot, it's already aliasing. So that edge is so sharp that if the normal map is too low res, you're going to lose that. But I'd be real curious to see where this is heading. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, see now that bevel feels great to me. These bevels in here or these details are so small. Well, who would you see this one in terms of size? Like how big is it? What do you mean? Like physically? I mean, this looks handheld to me because like that's like, you know. Hold on. I see. Okay. Okay, I see. So this is, I would say this is your large for this prop. Medium, I would say is wider than that, and this is your small. This feels like small to me, small bevel, which kind of is happening here. Modeling wise, this modeling detail is very small. I would probably just get rid of that ring. And yeah, like see that bevel there? Why is that bevel like that and this one's this sharp? Getting those to be the same because of the size and depth of them, I think makes more sense. The ref. The ref. I know the ref says that way, but it feels weird to me that it's like that. Like when you bake it, let's see what it looks like when you start baking it. Oh yeah, see this is even wider. But yours is even sharper to me than this is. That's what I mean. Oh man, you got to get all this in there too, dude. These are really cool props to build. Okay, dude, poke me as you continue on with this. I would love to see your progress. I want to see what your bakes look like as you're getting in there. That's why you're doing it. Nice, dude. But okay, if you're new here, we're just getting ready to head off. Just so you know, we're streaming on Sundays now. So we've got Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So this Sunday I'll be here. We'll be chilling. And it'll be I haven't really decided on a time for Sundays. Sundays, let's assume Sundays are real chill. We're just gonna be, just gonna be getting stuff done, chatting with you guys, taking questions, just kind of, just being around you guys. Should be good. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for posting your work for the feedback session. Let's get some music on here, and I'll see you guys out. Too late to the party, Manhattan. How are you doing? It is good to see you. You're never too late. If it's just to come by and say hello. I hope you're having a good week. Tomorrow's Friday for a lot of people. Exile, thanks for posting some stuff, man. Feels good, dude. We're getting into the year now, you know? It's starting to kick off. But yeah. Yeah, just post in the critiques channel. It gives other people the opportunity to give you some feedback as well. What time do you start streaming on Mondays and Thursdays? So you could probably see that in the schedule on Twitch. But so right now it's 10:17. We're over time right now. But 2 hours ago is when I started streaming. That's when we stream. Thank you as well, Curious. You do amazing stuff for the community, by the way. Just so you know. Yeah, so 8 o'clock CET +1, I think. I'm in Sweden, Malmo, Sweden. So if you look at Stockholm schedule, you'll see. But yeah, follow the channel. Here's the Discord, and I'll get out of your hair. Okay, have a good evening, a weekend, and I'll see you on Sunday. All right, bye.